allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll dispense with the going around and introducing everybody, and we'll go right into our declaration of conflicts of interest. Council, are there any conflicts with this evening's agenda? Hearing none, we'll go forward with our approval of the agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by?
I'll second that.
Second by Wes. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes for January 7th, 2025. Council, have you had a chance to go through the minutes? Review those? Are there any questions with the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I have a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by Blair and seconded by Brett. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye or yes, either one of those will work. Okay, every year we have, our city finances are audited, and we've got Curtis and, let's see, Matt Geddes going to give us the information. Tell us how we're doing.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a little bit of a history just real quick, because we're in January. The year ended at June 30th. We've been constantly trying to accelerate this. But if you remember last year about this time, we got notice that a city manager was leaving. Took a month or two, got a new city manager, and then they said they were leaving. And then we kind of jumbled some positions and brought some new people on board. We've had a lot of changes. So we're a little bit later than we normally would want to be. Normally we want to accelerate this, but there was certain things. We're still in compliance with state law. That's the biggest thing. When you look at the state, it says we got a nice green check. So everything's been filed, everything's on board with the state. So we're compliant that way. These financial statements represent information that we talked to the city council about a lot during the last year. We spent time in the workshop talking about the enterprise funds and where they stand. We're going to spend time going forward in the upcoming months talking about the capital projects that are coming up. And really, we'll be using these financial statements a lot in here. The biggest thing that I want to present to the city is we, as a city staff, have prepared all of these amounts in accordance with the required accounting standards that are applicable based off of the funds type. We have prepared all the notes, and we present this information to you for the council's consideration, so you know where the city stood as of June 30th and how we finished the last year. Overall, the city is in solid financial condition. Solid. The base is stable. Everything else is going to be a discussion in the upcoming months for what we do going forward. But we're proud to present that the city is in solid financial condition. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Matt. Last year we went out to bid for the audit, and as a city we decided to select a different auditing firm. So this is actually Matt's first year doing the financial statement audit. So he'll tell you what we're doing and what we're not doing.
Thank you, Curtis, and thank you, Council, for having me. As you know, there are many things that the city does for citizens, and it's a testament, the report that I provide of the council, of the city manager, of Curtis and Lindsay and all of your team, that you're caring for and protecting the assets of the city appropriately. So ultimately, as Curtis mentioned, the city prepares a financial report, which is before you. You've engaged Squire and Company to perform an audit of those financial statements, and we issue an opinion on those financial statements. That's kind of just the page past the table of contents with Squire letterhead. Ultimately, the opinion we issue is the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position and activities of Tremont City for the year ended June 30th, 2024. So what does that mean in non-auditor language? What it means in non-auditor language is as you utilize the information in these financial statements, you can reasonably rely on them, that they're accurate, and you can use them to make decisions. There's a lot of information that, as Curtis has provided to you, related to that, those financial statements. There's some basic financial statements which give you the balances and activities during the year, as well as notes to the financial statements. So as you have questions on what do some of this information mean in the statements, you can refer to the notes that provide additional detail. In addition to the audit of the financial statements, because you're a government entity, we're required to perform our audit in accordance with government auditing standards. Government auditing standards require that we evaluate your internal control over financial reporting and compliance. And if there were significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, we would be required to report those to you. Sometimes in non-auditor language, material weaknesses are things that should keep the council awake at night. Significant deficiencies are things that should keep management awake at night. This report on page 89 ultimately does not identify any of those items. It's normal during audits that we learn some things and maybe some journal entries are recorded or adjustments are made in the financial statements. There were no identified items that would rise to your attention that you should be concerned about. The final
Thank
report,
Curtis for, right?
the final report that we issue is on page 91. The Office of the Utah State Auditor issues a state compliance audit guide. Within that state compliance audit guide, there are specific state compliance requirements that they request that as external auditors, we perform an audit of your compliance on those. There's many more state compliance than what's listed here on page 91. But these are the items that we specifically audit per request from the Office of the Utah State Auditor. And we issue an opinion on compliance. And that opinion is that the district or the city complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements outlined in the state compliance audit guide. So what does this mean overall? Ultimately, it's a boring report, which is what you want from an auditor. You don't want excitement. And so it's really a testament, as I mentioned at the beginning, of the dedicated time that your staff put into this to ensure that they're protecting the assets and ensuring compliance with state code. That was very quick. Any questions that the council has for me and or Curtis or Lindsay?
We're glad we have you.
Thank you.
Keep them under control.
Thank you. I'd like to second what was said about our employees. You guys do a great job keeping everything in check, and Curtis, thank you. We appreciate your help and the guidance and everything. Uh-oh.
Well, I'm just gonna say, Matt gave you, he was awesome, 5 minutes or so. It represents hours on the part of his team. And without, just to range, Matt, about how many man hours did you guys put into this, roughly speaking?
Let's say 150 to 180.
Yeah, so we're talking, those are man hours. 48 hours in a man week. So they did the equivalent of like 4 man weeks. So that'd be like 4 people up here for 1 week. They weren't, and Lindsay will say thank you. They were very efficient, very efficient. In the past, we've incurred like over 200 hours. So Matt and his team were very efficient, asked very appropriate questions, and we're grateful for the professional relationship that we have from them. But most importantly, behind the scenes, we have man years into how long it takes to prepare these. And there's a lot of people that really deserve a lot of credit. And Mayor, I know you know this, but we can't emphasize enough how critical so many of the staff are. And especially with the change of personnel this year, there's a lot of hours, maybe even a few tears. So my expression of gratitude goes to everyone that's involved, and I look forward to this upcoming budget season because we're gonna have great information for you guys. So,
Thanks, Curtis. All right. Let's move on. Item number 7, this is a public comment period. This is your opportunity to address the city council regarding your concerns or ideas. We're asking you to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. The time is now yours. All right. Hearing no public comments, we'll move on to our council business. We only have one item for the council tonight. Discussion and possible action on adopting resolution number 25-02, reaffirming, amending, and enacting new fines and fees in a schedule entitled the Tremont City Consolidated Fees and Fines Schedule, including but not limited to lot split application fees and governmental records access and management act GRAMA request fees. So let's see, should turn this over to
Is this Jeff or you?
Jeff.
Who's getting it?
No, pick on you.
We've been working with software called Civic Review to digitalize our applications for all of the city's applications to help just modernize it. And the two that we had on the application said that the fees would be set by the city council. So when looking at other common ones, I decided to set the fees here, talked about it with Lindsay. So these are the numbers that were either on the application or that we kind of set, just for clarity. Have all the fees in the same spot.
These are the only, this is the only,
For me,
okay. All right. And then the government records, is that going to be you, Cynthia?
I thought it was. It was a requirement that we learned about in training that we need to have a fee associated to the grammar requests. We can charge them a fee, and so this is just putting that into our fees and fine schedule. And this comes out of the code. This is. What? It's the least qualified, you can't set an amount because it's the least qualified person that can complete the grammar request. So if it's something for zoning, that's going to be Jeff's rate. If it's going to be something for the court, it's going to be Jamie's rate. It just depends on what the grammar request is for.
Is
So
it their standard hourly rate?
no, it's the rate of the least qualified person that I deem is qualified to fulfill that as the records officer. So you can't set a rate. It totally depends on what record they're asking for and who can get it.
An hourly rate plus
Yes.
copies, paper?
Yep, plus copies. Yep, so we already have copies in here, a fee for that. Yeah. And most of the time, there really isn't a rate, but if there would be someone that came and wanted a huge grammar request, it would be nice to have this documented so we could charge them. Because without this, you're,
My question though is, say if it's Jeff that's doing the research, then it'll be his
Correct.
hourly. If it's somebody else, then it's
whoever's,
whoever that is, that hourly rate.
Correct.
Okay, that's-
yeah. Like I said,
So,
yeah. Most of the time, there isn't a fee. The first 15 minutes are free, and usually, you can get the record pretty quickly.
Okay. very
That's
good.
what that is.
Okay. Is there anything else, any questions for Cynthia or Jeff? All right.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 25-2.
Motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Brett. See, Wes, go ahead.
West Eye?
Brett, yes.
Lyle Vance, yes.
Bo, yes.
Blair?
Blair, yes.
Okay. All right, that completes our new council business. Calendar items. Our next council meeting is February 4th.
Do we know what time we're starting at this point?
Five is what I got written down.
Starting at 5,
Is that okay?
Yeah, whenever.
okay?
And I've sent those papers to Lindsay and she'll get them all out to you.
I already emailed them out, so you should have them.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, when is League of Cities and Towns? Is that in April? Okay.
Hey, look it up.
Hey, can we see the agenda on that and see if it's worth going?
Oh, it's worth going. Every year.
Brigham City's actually thinking of not going because it hasn't been what
Hasn't
they
been-
feel worth paying for. And so I think we ought to consider the same option. If it's not,
April 16th through the 18th.
Okay. Excuse me.
Nope, last year.
Their agendas are always way slow, so.
So it's the 16th through 18th?
Correct.
Remind me of that, would you, tomorrow, so I can put it tomorrow?
All right, any unfinished business, council or Bill?
how about, I got a question. It fits in this area. When we have public comments, there's a lot of times things brought up, but how do we know if they've been followed through? And so I'm wondering if there's not a format or post a,
Well, they don't keep coming back, right?
huh?
They don't keep coming back, right?
Yeah, but maybe they're just not, they're frustrated not
I'm
getting their
teasing.
answers.
No,
So
I'm teasing.
I'm just wondering
I think-
if we don't keep track of the comments and then do we want to bring them back up at this point in the meeting and say, okay, were these answered? Or can you think of a good way to follow through to make sure people are getting the answers they're asking?
We try to have some of the directors here. A lot of times they're in the back there to answer those questions right after but I'm sure there's times when they're not taken care of and I think that's,
Should that be made part of the agenda?
Yeah, I love that.
Follow up on,
Yeah, we have a follow-up somewhere on our agenda. We had it, but maybe we just put under there
Yeah.
public comment follow-ups.
yeah.
And then we can just go through it, just make sure that people got their answers.
Can I interrupt for a minute? Mine wasn't solved.
So,
Some of them can't be. Was yours the cat deal?
Yep.
and so, but the whole point is it may not be, I shouldn't have said it that way. It may not be able to be solved, but did they get to be able to communicate with the people they needed to? And,
that's a good point, and I like that.
you know,
Accountability.
yeah.
Good.
Do you want them like written out on this, or do you just wanna like go back and review the minutes? Cause they would be in the minutes that were,
It'd be in the minutes, but maybe it would be good to
have a section on there.
have a section on there.
Public comments and
Yeah,
then or something.
yeah.
Okay,
All right.
it's good. I like it.
All right. Let's see, administration reports and comments. Start with you, Bill.
Well, I got to tell you, and I say this every council meeting, I work with the best human beings in the world, and I'm grateful every day to come to this office and be associated with these incredibly motivated, professional, dedicated, and selfless people. I just, it's amazing. And we love each other like we're family. We fight like cats and dogs when necessary, but not very often. And we put up with Jeff, and he's good. So life is good. I wanted to highlight a couple of things because they're not here to highlight them, but in the food pantry, the numbers for November and December are just mind-boggling to me. We're talking 320 people served in November and 307 in December. That's families served, rather. The individuals were 1052 and 1022, respectively. Volunteer hours, we had 270 in November and 330 in December. And then this is the truly amazing thing to me is the amount of food donated. Almost 40,000 pounds of food in November and almost 46,000 in December, which is just phenomenal. We live in an amazing community that really reaches out and takes care of each other, and I love that. But I'd have to say that my favorite report goes to the library for this month. Actually, it was December, but it's, yeah. And if you look at the bottom where she says the number of children taken make crafts was 278. Tremont City Christmas Festival was 250. Story time was 114, and amazed patrons were unlimited. So nice work out there, Kim. Thank you. And thanks to all of our fantastic department heads. We are truly blessed, and I'm just so grateful to be associated with these people. They make me look good.
So how do we get on that list of you just really part of your family?
You gotta write staff report, and I look for little nuggets like that where people have put a little personality or a joke in there or something. So, yeah.
Okay. Chief?
I'm going to kind of piggyback off what Bill was talking about. We did have a missing endangered kid. It was pretty amazing to watch. You know, whenever you go to that, it's a full scale, and you need a lot of different people to help locate those kids. I had officers calling that I guess don't do anything other than listen to the radio, who were coming in on their day off. We had firefighters showing up, volunteers, and that was before I even got on scene. So it was pretty amazing. We got it organized. We were able to find the kid pretty quick, and we were more concerned about the weather and things. But that kind of that's new to me. You know, working in a bigger city, bigger police department, that's unheard of. So definitely touches your heart to know how much the people that work for this city care about this city. And not a single one of them was worried about, getting compensated or getting paid. It was just like, hey, me and my wife are back. We're coming back from something. Can we just come and help? So it was
Cold
great.
that night too. What was it?
Yeah, it was pretty cold. It was getting colder. And that was the bigger concern we had. But we were lucky to find her pretty quickly. So other than that, business as usual. We're staying busy. I have 2 people that are likely going to be hired for our secretary, so we'll get that replaced. We'll get operational at the police department building pretty soon here. I'm hoping at the beginning of next week. So, any questions for the police department? Go
I
ahead.
think between you and Chief Hansen, I've had a lot of people talk about that reverse 911.
Yeah,
You guys need to get that on our webpage, on your webpage. Because a lot of people's going, man, I didn't get it. How do I get it and stuff? And so I think we need to post that. A very public, put that everywhere we can.
That'd be something for Brennan or
Yeah.
Blackcomb. That's a good item.
yeah, yeah.
So you have to sign up for it.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a great resource for us because it's just instantly more people that are aware of what's going on, and it can help from anything from like a barricade, avoid this area situation to we're missing a kid, help us find him. So, yeah, great point.
It was a little delayed
Yeah.
because you found the person when we got it.
Yeah. I mean, and we were blessed in that way. Usually it doesn't work out that way, but we were good on this one, so.
So this is where it is, it's on our website. It's
It
under
is,
city services.
but people don't go to that website. Throw it on yours, the reverse 911, that's how you do, where you go.
Yeah, I'll talk to Zach. We'll try to get that updated.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yours and on yours websites.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
How do we get that to a social media list? Do we have, a running, that'd be a perfect example of something that could go on.
Public education.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anybody, do you have anything for us, Jeff? Yeah. You do?
He's on the agenda.
I'm on the agenda. How about a whole pretty colorful pictures
Did I miss something with you?
It's fine.
No, you didn't.
It's easy to forget.
I can't blame you. I mean, I brought you
Jeffrey,
balloons
Scott.
and everything. It's fine. So I want to talk about with what's gone over the past few months, wanted to kind of outline for the city council what the procedures are that I will be implementing and helping for communication going forward. If you don't mind going down a little bit. So we're going to start going through just some common definitions that I'll be using. They're some of my favorite vernacular. And then we'll go through the 4 major procedures that I kind of oversee. So on to the definitions. The first is a development agreement, where these have been very common practice in Tremont, and they're simply a contract between the city and a developer where they outline what both parties are going to be doing. A concept plan is,
Can I just add to that just
No.
really quick, please? A development agreement is interesting because it allows greater flexibility in the code or in the contract than what is allowed in the code. State code allows for all kinds of things in a development agreement that they don't allow for in a code. For example, architectural standards. You can't touch them in your code, but in a development agreement, you can add whatever you want. So a development agreement is a very powerful tool for the city to use to make sure that the developers are developing according to what the city anticipates. The other thing is that the developers like them because it locks them into a business contract with the city regarding the development of the property. And what that largely means is if we allow them to have 270 lots or units on their property, no matter what the configuration ends up being, the developer knows the city's going to allow them to do 270 units on the property, whether it's townhomes, single-family detached, whatever it is. That protects their interest and it makes them feel much, much more comfortable going forward with development. Takes a lot of the question marks out and allows them to just have that peace of mind. From a business standpoint, they relish these kinds of things. A lot of the parameters of a development agreement get worked out between the developer and staff before you guys ever even see it. But that doesn't mean we don't want your input on the thing. So when it gets to you, know that we've been through it. Dustin's probably been through it, but you guys are the ultimate arbiters of whatever comes out. So, sorry, Jeff.
I didn't have room for all of that on the slide.
I know.
That was the struggle. A concept plan is within the land development is an optional phase, but it's one that the city likes using because it allows us to start those conversations for the high-level capital improvements that developers may have to go through, whether it's for storm drain or for whatever utilities, if it's hillside development. It's the most flexible spot to kind of start the conversation with developers. Preliminary plat's really the first stage. It's when vesting rights start. It's when the new changes the state code put in Senate Bill 174 kicks in. Timelines that we have to follow are there. This is the first time too that something will be submitted to the DRC or the Development Review Committee, which is defined at the bottom. Once a development makes it through preliminary plat, we start going through final plat at a phase-by-phase basis, and that's to help with the city and the developer's financials and their warranties and some legal requirements. The last definition you'll see in this, I wanted to shorthand the term for city staff, but it specifically means that you could talk to me or Bill or Chris, our city engineer, or Paul / Carl about, thank you, about the topic. So going forward, Cynthia.
Glad to see you doing this.
What?
This is a good thing because
Yeah.
if something happens to you or our city manager, we all know what you agreed to. So continue on.
So with land development, like I said, concept plan is optional. That's why it's dashed. They're able to review concepts with the city staff. I've reviewed some. Bill and I have both talked with developers about concept plans. They're kind of a fun thing to review and discuss with developers. The first stage, like I said, is preliminary plat, and that goes to the DRC. Once they get through there, the planning commission reviews it, makes sure they're okay with it. That kicks it back to starting final plat review with DRC. From preliminary through the first phase final plat, we will work with developers on their development agreement, just so that we have plenty of time for those negotiations and to make sure each side's happy with it. During that time too, I normally will send it to Dustin and make sure he's okay with it. Finally, once the developer has signed the development agreement and he's shown they're okay with it, I will bring it to the city council for ratification. If there are any changes or input that you all want to have in there, then I can take that back to the developer and say, hey, this is something city council wants to see. Once that's all happened and the final plat has been approved by DRC and the DA is approved by you, then we'll go ahead with the pre-construction meeting and off goes the dirt moving.
Oh, sorry, Lyle, so really quick. On land development process, it will come to city council one time? pretty
Yes.
much, Unless we have
Only
some
if it's in-
discussion, if we have some discussion. or
And
change.
only if it's a development agreement.
Mhm.
If they're not seeking a development agreement, you may never see it.
Okay.
Now, I
Because it's been zoned.
Yeah.
want to add one more thing too, to this. Vesting, Utah is an early vesting state, which means they're vested at the time of application, which means if someone comes in with a subdivision application, the code that applies to the review and approval of that application is the code that's in place when they apply. And that's important because if someone brings in something that we didn't anticipate, we have to allow it. Okay? So we need to make sure our codes are dialed in, and they pretty well are. I'm not worried about it. But if someone comes in with something that's just completely crazy and the code allows it, we also have to allow it. We can't go in after they've applied and say, oh, well, we didn't think about that. It's too late. So, you know, our codes are in a constant state of revision. Jeff and I are constantly looking at these things to make sure they're right. But, like I say, I'm confident, but that's when, at preliminary plat, that's why that application is so significant.
So if you're falling within code, why should it even come to city council?
It shouldn't. But the reason why it would is the development agreement, which is a legislative question. And the development agreement actually takes the place of and supersedes the requirements of any codes that may be underlying.
I got one question.
Go for it.
How long does it take to go through this process?
It depends on how, so like with Envision Estates that's coming near Archibald, that from preliminary through took about 9 to 10 months. It really depends just on how fast the developers, engineers, and developer moves on it. We have to stick within the guidelines of the state for how fast we have to review and process it. But there's no guidelines on if a developer wants to, take a summer off, and then get back to it in the fall when they're around. So it because it's both parties, it varies a little bit, but it could be as fast as 6 months generally, would be my guess by the time you get through preliminary and approve it. I would guess 6 months is probably the shortest it would work.
That's always the complaint. It takes so long to go
Well,
through the process.
it's interesting because we were given in SB 174, we, meaning staff, were given some very serious constraints regarding what we can do and how we can turn it around. Once we have accepted a complete application, then we have 14 days and 4 rounds of 14 days to get those things reviewed and back to the developers, engineers, and architects, and whoever else is preparing it. They don't have any time constraint. They can take as long as they want. Now, there's a provision in the code that says if it takes over a certain period of time, then you can start it all over again, and you do the rinse, wash, and repeat cycle again. But we're under the constraints. The developer is not. So if it takes forever, which is always the complaint, they need to look more closely at their own engineers and how fast they're turning things around, not us.
Yeah.
Although we can do it faster than 14 days.
Oh, when we do, we typically do. But,
Yeah.
I don't control Chris's workload.
We try.
We try, but he's a contractor and he's going to get to it within the 14 days, but as quickly as he can, so.
And we've been working on, and one of the reasons we've been going to Civic Review is to help that communication, to know how Chris is coming along with it, and that there's kind of a portal now to where the developer can be able to discuss things with the city and with Chris, and everyone's going to be able to be notified because it's the same chat room. And that, I'm hoping that'll help with some of the overlapping communication we end up having. The other thing, though, is we'd like to permit times for prompt reviews, because as part of 174, we don't get to add new comments after the first revision. And so that very first revision normally takes a little bit longer because we're trying to go through it with the finest tooth comb, because any comments we add on after have to fall underneath what was already commented on. So maybe we have a comment, they didn't quite address it, so we can put a comment to that one, but we don't get to go back through and add new comments later on. So that first revision can take a little bit of time, and that's why we're trying to set some firmer deadlines with developers about when they have to have stuff to us, so that we have the appropriate time on our side before DRC. Next, Cynthia. All right, the very fun one, municipal improvements. This is what Main Street would fall underneath. We will always start, I will like to start with a concept plan, be able to bring it to the city council for discussion and input. After that, we will, at concept plan, depending on size and scale, we can move some of these pieces out if we feel like this is too much. If the project's smaller, generally you'll skip a couple hurdles. If it's a bigger project like Main Street, you'll really want to hit each of these. We'll go to what's called schematic design, which is about a 30% completed set. This is a lot of legwork on the engineering and the architectural firms to go out and get surveyed, to get digital base files created that they can share and design off of. You'll get what's kind of called site plan line work. So that's your, from the top-down view, Google Earth line work, saying, okay, these are what the improvements are going to look like. Once we feel we've got a comfortable set, I'll bring it back to council, ask for more input, ask for everyone's okay to proceed. Then we'll go back to doing design develop. We'll progress to the design development, or 60%. That's the earliest that I feel comfortable getting costs, just because engineers and architects just haven't been able to get into the weeds very far. So this is kind of the first level where you feel costs are going to be accurate, and the contingency is going to be 15-ish%. Like I said, then we'll start saying, okay, these are the drawings, here's our budget. Do we need to start moving items in and out for bid alternates? Do we want to move items out completely? We'll have those discussions. With the council's approval, we'll go to a CD set or construction set. That's about a 90%. Most things are finalized. It's kind of that last hurdle before, to make sure all of the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. We'll once again review the drawings, review the budget. If everything's good, we'll refine it down to 100% bid set, which is the drawings that we will be able to send out for bids to contractors. At which point, like we saw with the water line, bids may come in really low depending on the season and the work. Bids may come in a little high. If we're comfortable, then we'll pick a bid and go.
Thank you for putting this together. That means we're going to see it 5 times before the final approval. Can I ask that, you've got that all nailed out there, concept plan, schematic, design. So when you do this thing, and it comes to city council, we're simply approving, say, the schematic design.
Yeah.
Okay, is that going to be on the approval?
Yes.
Okay,
And you'll always see it over in the title block of the drawings. It's very standard to have over in the side of what you're at. Schematic, these are not just like, hey, these are very engineer standard terminology. You'll see schematic, you'll see design development, you'll see construction, and then bid set.
And I want to say,
Those are the hurdles.
this is a much, much more comfortable world for me to live in. I've talked with a couple of you guys about
Us too.
my feelings about this, but we all collaboratively work better together
rather than just me or Jeff or Chris or Lindsay, who we have great ideas, but until we get the buy-in from you guys, they're just ideas, okay? And it may be that our ideas are way off, or it may be that you guys have better ideas. That's the point of working in our kind of form of government. So this is very much, and Jeff and I are in lockstep on this, this is very much how we want to operate, and you will see this from now on.
Going down then, so one term that is going to become very common as we continue to go on is annexations. And so I wanted to outline kind of the process I'm hoping to follow. We'll work with the developer that about the annexation area, help him prepare the petition, make sure the legal descriptions are good, make sure everything's in order. We will bring that to the council. You can review the petition and accept it. What that does is it kickstarts a whole, and this is a very watered down version of the state code. It starts the public notice window, at which point Lindsay gets to send out all the letters, and she loves it. Once that period's done, bring it back to the council, and you can approve the annexation, at which point then we go record it at the county. So those are the two spots the council will come into view. Once you approve it, then I believe it goes to the planning commission to have its zoning assigned, but we don't do that until after the council's approved the annexation.
Who do we have to notify?
Everyone within a half mile.
Their property is within a half mile of the proposed annexation. Okay.
We also will go put signage out as well to, in front of the property that's being annexed, so there will be signs out there. We might work on getting some bigger signs so faster speed limits can read it. Maybe not an LED sign that's 30 feet in the air, but something.
Too soon, Jeff.
And there's always a hearing for the public, right?
Yeah. The public hearing comes at the time of you guys accepting the annexation.
It can be on that sign, though.
It could be on that sign, but I don't know if that's the best spot to have something notified, visually. I think that's, and then land use code. So like Bill said, our code is very important. It's something that's Sam and me and Bill and the planning commission are going around. We're also happy if the city council gets involved, but right now there's generally there will be a cyclical process of us working with the planning commission to work on it, some code changes. Once that happens, and we will do a public hearing at the planning commission where we accept public input. If it passes there and the planning commission will make a recommendation to bring it to you. At that point, I'll prepare an ordinance and with the changes highlighted, bring it to the council for review and discussion. Any input also is welcomed. If it's adopted, then we post it as an updated land use code. So that's how that works too. And that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah, very good.
Are we allowed to give a
Jeff, do you have
standing
anything?
ovation?
No.
What's that?
Are we allowed to give a standing ovation?
Gently.
Weren't that good.
I prefer a let's go. There were two other items I had really fast before.
DRC.
Speaking of annexations, we've been working with Brody on his along Iowa String, and we have received enough signatures for it to move forward. So I'm helping him prepare the petition, and that likely will be to the council in February. The other thing we go for it.
Is that the one that's down by, clear to the church house?
Yeah. So the other thing that I found and discussed with Bill is that our impact fee, in some of our impact fee schedules, there are tables that show that we could increase the impact fees. But that I haven't looked through all of them, so I was gonna talk to you guys and try to get a decision. If you'd like me to prepare a presentation on what the changes could be on the impact fees and bring it to you guys, hopefully next meeting. Bill and I have had questions on, do we have to do a public? We'll talk about that offline. If you guys are.
Yes, probably.
Probably, okay. If you guys are interested in that, or if you're okay with the impact fees kind of where they are for a little while.
You do have an analysis, you do have.
I can go, I found a couple that could change, but I haven't gone through all of the impact fees to see if that's true on all of them.
I just wonder if you
Mm-hmm.
need to bring it up to date. They need to be current.
When's the last time it happened?
I think the studies were all in 2019 to 2021-ish. At which point, some of them, we could look at either doing the studies again, and that's a good result if we feel like some of them. But if you guys want, I am happy to go through and do an analysis in the next couple weeks to see what some of the IFFPs looked like.
I think that's a good idea.
Can we do our own analysis, or do we still have to go through another?
No, we'd have to, if we were going to do a formal analysis, we'd have to go through an entity. What I'm saying is I could read through all of the last studies and see, do we have some tabulated values do they already have some set like tabulated values that say like in 2025, should be this much instead of what it was in 2024? But I haven't dug into all of them. I wanted to talk to you guys first.
Usually what, a $20,000 fee to have that analyzed?
Yeah, and so I'm happy to go do that and get some findings. I just wanted to talk about it first. Okay.
Anything else?
I'm not. I'm just
He's bored.
I'm just playing Royal Flush.
No,
So
I don't think
Cost going up and that, and inflation, I'll bet
Okay.
we're way behind.
Okay.
Okay, Jeff, do you have anything else for us?
No.
Okay.
I mean, last time it was someone's birthday, we sang.
Oh, yeah. No, don't need to talk
I
about
got
that.
one thing, Mayor. I think that.
Oh, so Wes doesn't want to
Here
sing.
is For Brady from the fire department, for department head. You know he got a birthday?
Oh,
Mayor had a birthday.
He had it, it don't count now.
yeah.
Okay. Singing on.
That's all behind us. You have some stuff, anything for us with the fire department?
I knew that we'd slip by him.
You're good. Appreciate it. Chief,
Probably better announce yourself, not everybody knows.
so I'm Andy McBride. I'm one of the full-time captains here in Tremont. So Chief Hansen asked me to step in for him today. He's down in St. George for a statewide chiefs training and seminar. So he left today, asked if I would come and report. There's only two things. The first one is super exciting for us and for the city. We do have our new fire engine. As most all of you know, if you don't, we purchased a new fire engine. It is here. We are currently working on outfitting it. We're waiting for some more equipment that we've ordered, mounting equipment and that type of stuff, the hardware, to go on it. And it kind of got lost in some paperwork. So we've been waiting for it to come in. We're hoping this week most all of it will be here and we can have it ready to go. Regardless of that, we will be doing a push-in ceremony on Friday, January 31st at 4 p.m. So it's a week from Friday. We are very excited for that. The public is invited to come. Anyone that would like to, it'll be kind of an open house for the truck. Come check it out, see what kind of equipment's on it, talk about it, brag about it a little bit, and then we'll do kind of a little ceremony. 4 p.m.
Thank you.
A little bit of a ceremony, and then we'll do an official push-in, and then at that point, the truck will hopefully be in service if all of our equipment arrives on time. So that's, yeah, we'll have some light refreshments there as well. Then the other one, he just wanted me to make mention about the structure fire we had last Saturday on Iowa String Road. We had a house fire that was called in. The crews arrived pretty quickly. We had an engine from Tremont and an engine from Garland that arrived within a few minutes. Unfortunately, due to every time we go on a fire, we do a quick risk assessment to decide what we can and can't or should and shouldn't do depending on how far along the fire is, what kind of hazards are there. Due to the age of the home, as well as the fact that when people remodel houses, they do roofs on top of roofs on top of roofs. With that being said, there was a quick assessment made that due to the involvement of the fire in the home and all of those other factors, they decided to go completely defensive, which means that nobody goes inside the structure because of the dangers that it poses. If everyone's out of the building, there's no life safety hazard or life safety threat. We don't risk anything on our end as far as sending guys in to get hurt or killed if the only thing we're saving is some pieces of wood and some furniture. So they went defensive immediately. They were there for several hours and worked very, very hard to get the fire. Ultimately, they were able to put the fire out. They did have to tear the home down. Chief wanted to make sure that we recognized officially and thanked all the neighboring agencies that came to help. Garland, Central Box Elder Fire District, Corinne Fire Department, Brigham Fire Department, and then the Box Elder County Fire District, who were all there, as well as the police department who helped with traffic control, as well as a lot of other things on scene. Those guys are amazing at always stepping up to help with whatever they can in the meantime. So that's all that I have for you. Do you have?
That far south, were there fire hydrants?
There's one across the street, luckily. Yeah.
Across the street was.
Yeah, you couldn't have picked a better spot,
They're
so.
gonna loop the hose. Stretching it, and they have to make a big
Yeah.
loop to get it.
So very, very fortunate in that situation as far as a water
How's the family
supply.
doing?
They're doing pretty well. There's a retired Ogden firefighter who was there. That there was a few guys on scene that knew him pretty well. He seemed like he was in pretty high spirits, considering what was going on. But luckily, everyone was out of the home. They were able to save some nearby structures and barns that were close by and getting exposed to that fire, and they were able to make sure that it didn't
The
get
animals and,
Yep, as far as I
Don't
know.
follow me around like a dog.
Yeah, there's quite a few animals running around there.
Behind the gate.
But to my knowledge, I don't think they lost any animals.
Goats are funny like that. You wouldn't think.
I think that there were potentially 3 cats.
Oh, was there? So there might have been a few cats that were lost.
and they're staying locally here, or they got.
They're looking for a place to
I
rent.
believe they're looking for a place. They do have some other property in the area as well. I think we're planning on moving too, and so that's, for them, they'll be able to make it work, it sounds like,
Good.
so.
Can I say one thing, Mayor?
Sure.
For you that don't know Andy, he is, our full-time, hired right out of the gate for a captain, and he is, are you president this year, or?
Yes,
He is president of the Utah State Firemen's Association.
Wow,
The only
congratulations.
other ones that we've had from Tremont have been Lynn Iverson and Nick Eastep. But he is our president, so we've got a lot of highly trained, dedicated people, so.
Congratulations.
Just wanted to tell you that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
thanks.
That's really neat.
Cool, that's all I got.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Andy. All right, let's see, let's see, did we get everything? DRC, you had nothing there. We're good. Okay, council reports, Wes?
The only thing I got is, wanted to commend them on that fire and all that. The cardboard at the plant, I can see that is going to be not a good deal. We put just the dump trailer down there, big sign, cardboard only, please break down. Well, somebody brought a whole truckload. They're not gonna obey by the signs. The neighbors across the street have complained. It gets up into our system at the plant, and I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if we're gonna just have to do away with cardboard, because when them getting that clarifier, somebody's gotta go in there and get them out. And it's kinda like, should we let 1 or 2 ruin it for everybody? Because some people's good about bringing them down, breaking them down, putting them in there. But what do you do when you get somebody that brings a whole truckload? Besides, them guys are working on catching him. Cardboard is got out of control with the way that we handle it, or else we gotta change something about it.
Do you guys want to work on some sort of a plan?
Well, I don't know what else we can do. We're not gonna buy a compactor and things like that, but
Can you put a camera out
we got a
And then-
camera.
with an explanation that we'll be in contact with them if,
Well, we turn it over to the police and then they call and, but what do you do when it's full? It wasn't really full, but I'm just saying cardboard is beginning to be an issue down to the plant. You figure all the stuff that's coming by Amazon and all that, Christmas, and I don't know if that should really be our problem as a city. Might fit into one of these things Brett was talking about or something, but it ain't working down at the greatest right now.
It was a nice service to start with.
It is, but
And
it's kinda got out of control.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I want you to know is I have.
Is there any revenue from that?
I have 2 more meetings that after that, I will have no more conflict of interest because I'm bailing March 1st.
Congratulations.
So my conflict of interest is not going to be a conflict anymore. That's all I got.
Okay. Right.
I don't have much other than thanks for the presentation and thanks for all that the city employees do for us. Thank you.
Well,
Did all what Brett just said, and also thanks to the public for coming here. We've all been here since 4 o'clock, and it's awesome to see people that are interested in what's going on. And, you know, hopefully you can see the effort and the discussion. And anyway, thank you for being here.
See, Blair, are you still on, Blair?
I'm sure he is.
You haven't,
Just like the time on this call with Wes's phone is 4 hours, 13 minutes, and 4 seconds. I don't have anything. It's a good meeting.
okay, thanks, Blair. Bo?
Yeah, one of the things I've been asked to do is financial oversight is Lyle's preparing. And so I met with Curtis and you know, as I reviewed both the financials with Curtis and understood where we're at, and the work that's gone in, I just want to reiterate, you know, I hope we realize the asset that we have. I worked at a firm for 3 years and, you know, so got a really good flavor of audit and kind of what goes into that. And I just reiterate the amount of effort and we recognize it. Thank you. And we have very clean books. So to have an audit come through like that is a huge task and feat. So I just wanted to, you know, say that again. Also, the library board met last week and things are going well as we saw in the report. Unlimited, you can't beat that. So
Amazed.
oh yeah. So and then yeah, economic development, I think there's a lot of discussion to be had around our strategy there. I know that's something that, you know, we're going to be passing batons on a few items and just we're underway there with putting together a strategy. I've offered a couple of items of discussion that we can talk through, and I look forward to seeing some of those come to fruition. So
Cynthia, I sent you an email with a PowerPoint. I just wanted to reiterate everything that's been said and how much you guys appreciate everything you do, all of you, for our staff, for all the work that you do. You can go down to where it's, let's scroll down a ways, down. Sorry, okay, a little further. Sorry. Okay, so I've been keeping track of down. Sorry, down. Oh,
We got one more meeting.
okay, here we go. I just wanted to, you know, back in 2018, we talked about how the city has made efforts to start the secondary water program. This is a comparison of 2018, which is the hashed line, red hashed line, what it was then, and then the down underneath that is right there, up, right there. And then down below is our culinary water. If you remember back in 2018, we exceeded our capacity for about a week. And that caused a lot of concern, and that's where the councils really went to work on secondary water following years after that. And then what you see in the blue line is this year's culinary water use. And theoretically, as we move and more and more people go on to secondary water, that blue line will flatten out each year. And of course, you know, the concern way back in 2018 is, you know, water was like 90% of the city citizens were concerned about water. I just wanted to show this, that our water supply is healthy and and as we go along and more secondary is being used, that line will flatten out. Now go down one slide. This one is how much secondary we've used. So the hash line is 2018. That's how much secondary water we were using. And then the other one is this year. And so you can see what's going on with our secondary water and that kind of thing. The only other thing I had is, thanks for looking that up, Cynthia. Tomorrow at 11:30, the legislature that has been kind of reported, the governor's office wants to rename Highway 102 to the Borgstrom Brothers Memorial Highway. We've gone through the Transportation Committee and all of the other, everything is on track for tomorrow for the declaration to be made, and that'll be at 11:30. It'll be in the House chambers down at the Capitol. And that's all I have. So I guess, council, we have one more.
Make a motion to adjourn.
And we do, remind you, we do have one more meeting after this, so, all in favor?
All right. Yes.
Okay, we're going to our RDA meeting.
Make a motion, we start our meeting.
I'll second it.
For the agenda. RDA, right?
Yep. Motion, we approve the agenda for the RDA meeting.
I'll
I'll
second it.
second it.
All in, is it, motion passes and we're on our way. I'm catching up with you. Okay. Approval of the minutes,
Make a
September
motion we
17th.
approve the Minutes as of September 17th.
I'll second it.
All, let's see, all in favor? Motion by Lyle Vance, seconded by Bo. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, new council business, discussion and possible action on adopting resolution number RDA 25-01, establishing a rating and ranking system to evaluate potential moderate income housing projects. I guess this is you.
And I want to point out that Susie deserves an award as well, because she's on the back row and is still here. I don't know, what time did you get here? Like, it doesn't even matter at this point. Bless her.
Not as long as you guys.
It's, she's helped me write this thing, and so it's been great to have her input. It's great to have her support here tonight, so thank you. And we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. If you have any questions or concerns, I didn't hear from anyone, so I'm assuming that I wrote the perfect document, and we're just going to go forward with it and see how she helped. That's why it's perfect, not me. She definitely gave some good advice, so.
I've read all the way through it, and it's just the basics.
Yes.
I mean, so if somebody comes in, can you just give us like a 5-minute blip?
Yeah.
Somebody comes in potentially, I mean, you're looking at their circumstances, that's one of the ways you rate it. If they are homeless, does finances ever become part of the decision?
So yes, if they can match, if they've got additional availability to access through other grants or other things like that, we definitely weigh those in the calculus. This is not for just an average citizen to come in and ask for funding, though. This is for nonprofits and other organizations. So someone just couldn't just walk in off the street and say, hey, I want $400,000 to build me a house. This is for groups like Habitat for Humanity or Neighborhood Nonprofit to be able to access these funds that we've set aside in the RDA for the purpose of helping purchase land, do infrastructure, and even build houses for people. So
If they get a long-term loan somewhere else.
they can, or they can use all of this and leverage this money to put into, a $400,000 doesn't buy you a whole lot of house, but if you were doing an affordable thing and it was, you could make this stretch in a lot of different ways. So that's the
Sweat
kind of thing
equity
you're
come
looking
into
for.
this also?
Sorry?
Sweat equity?
Sweat equity may, and that could be a match that is contributed by the property owners or the whatever in that. So we want to work with people and come up with both creative solutions to things and make this funding available so that we can get the maximum benefit for it. The other thing is that we limited it to a maximum of $400,000 per year
per entity. And so you can have 6 projects that were, you know, whatever, 400,000 divided by 6. I don't know, whatever that is.
68,000.
There you go, that number. And you can have all of those, several different projects of that size and max out the 400,000. In fact, I think that's what we want, is to have people come in and say, you know what, we can do so much good with this money. We're going to use every penny. And then they will give us reports and things, and that's, you know, we'll look forward to that going forward with how that money is being spent.
That could take all of your time.
It won't. It won't. Most of it's just, most of it's because it's going to be,
Somebody's got to take time.
it's going to be just reporting back on from the nonprofits, and they'll submit invoices to us, and we'll just pay it like that. We'll award them the bid or the grant to begin with, and then we'll pay them out as those invoices come in. So,
Okay,
Could we ask a quick question?
Can you wait just
Sorry.
just until we finish this meeting?
Sorry, I thought it was over.
and I don't know if you, Susie, did you want to say something, or?
Well, in that question, I know the 2 organizations that he's been talking with, there is. Can you come up here? Sure. All right.
Sorry,
You're fine.
you did wait, so, you know.
I did wait. I might as well come up and run into a chair.
So the 2 organizations that he's talking with, both of us do sweat equity. And so that will be part of it. But as for how much he would have to do, I don't know what he does, but we would do the work in our organizations, and then we're already working with him on our repair program. We just send him over a receipt.
This morning.
Yeah, he just has to approve it and send it out. So I don't think it would be much work for anybody involved, other than the money gets spent and you don't want it sitting there anyway, right?
It's not doing
when I
anyone
get back
good.
off my mission, I wouldn't mind volunteering for that. That'd be,
Yeah,
I'd love to do that.
yeah. You and me both.
It'll be great. We're excited about being able to partner with you guys and get some houses in the community for low-income families. Susie Witt with Habitat for Humanity. Witt. Yep.
I know that
Clever, she's
this,
definitely a wit.
Yeah.
I know affordable, when you talk about the legislature, that'll be the number 1 issue for the legislature this year is affordable housing, so
We're excited to see what they do.
it's good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Okay, let's see, we need a motion on resolution number 25-01.
If there's no more discussion, I make a motion we adopt resolution number RDA 25-1.
A motion by Lyle, and a second.
Second that motion.
Seconded by Bo. Let's see, Bo? You vote.
What's that? Yes.
A roll call vote.
Yes.
Back to me?
Yep.
Lyle Vance, yes.
Right, yes.
West, yeah.
Passes.
Wait a minute. Blair?
Blair, yes.
There we go.
Oh, sorry, Blair.
You forgot, he's asleep in St. George.
Not either.
All
I
right.
make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion, second.
I'll second that.
Motion by Blair, Brett, and second by Wes. All in favor?
Can we come talk to you? or what?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody.
I don't know.
Okay,